before I go into?
No, everything that I had planned I already did.
You planned?
Yeah, because it was only supposed to be about like 10 minutes.
I know.
We were going on like an hour now, but
Welcome to Suge and Mooney. This is an exclusive for our YouTube channel. We launched that last week. As you can see, it's a little blurry maybe, but we got it up here. A little self-promotion.
Yeah, I got it behind me, but you probably can't see. But y'all know what the thing is. You're on a YouTube channel. You know what the logo looks like.
It kind of reminds me of when the light shined through when Dennis Reynolds is explaining his dentist system. Never to see her again. What is it? What's the word he used again?
Separate entirely.
No, drift off into the night. Never to see her again. So I bring that up because on August 4th, 2005, Always Sunny debuted their first episode. And today is like the anniversary, so we wanted to talk about one of our favorite shows. Yeah, so me and Suge, one of the first things we just started like talking about was Always Sunny. And we would like do references and there's like bullshit with it. And then it reminds me of one of my other shows that I grew up watching, and it's like the triumvirate. It's like the holy trinity of my favorite shows. It's The Simpsons, Seinfeld, and Always Sunny. And basically that they create their own like universe, and they have these like little characters that run around. And it starts off with just like, like basically the show, most everyone, they know the show, basically started off with a gang of 4, which was very similar to Seinfeld, three guys and one girl. And then every year, like it grew and expanded, and now you could probably have a show based on like cricket. They did a whole episode on one of the characters started off as one character, and then he completely he devolved into another character.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a couple of years to actually watch my first episode. So it was 2005. And I remember seeing a poster for it, and it was like Seinfeld on crack. And I was like, that's pretty lame. I was just a very cynical kid in like high school.
Yeah, because you like Seinfeld. You got like Seinfeld, like the old series behind you right now.
I also have every DVD of Always Sunny. It just said Seinfeld on crack, and I was like, no thanks. And like 3 years later, I watched like the first episode that I saw, and it was the one where the bar's going to close, and Mac and Charlie, they go and look for jobs.
Well, I got into it was it was on, remember this is back when FX was like one channel, now it's like 2. It's like FX and then FXX, and Sunny's on FXX, which is like now like the comedy channel, and FX is like the drama and movie channel. And they used to show movies on FX. So this was back when I was in high school. I was watching a movie on FX. I can't remember what movie. I wish I did. Went to the bathroom, took a shower, came back. The movie finished, and what was on the TV was Sunny. And I'd usually just change the channel because it's something I don't watch. But it was I think I saw a Danny DeVito on it. I was like, all right, let me check it out. And it was like they showed 2 episodes. It was like the episode where they had to go to like the country club to try to like sell drugs or something like that.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, and then the second episode was the gang gets whacked. When they like deal with like the mafia and stuff like that.
That was a 2-parter, I think. That's why it was a 2-parter.
Yeah, and that's what I thought it was. It was like a 2-part episode, and like they went like together. But I mean, if you watch them now, it seems like it's just like 2 separate episodes, but they kind of follow the same storyline. And I was like, wow, this shit's funny. And then I just started watching it, and this was like my junior year in high school. So I watched it my senior year, and then I went to college, and then came to find out like a lot of people I went to college with, my friend group in college, also watched it. So we all used to get together and watch it as friends.
All right, so one of the so I indulged in a lot of drinking, whatever, in college and everything. And me and my buddy, we literally came up with this term that we never heard. No, I never heard it before. A couple years later, Always Sunny had an episode about Halloween where they're trying to figure out who got Sweet Tea pregnant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, the character Mac, Rob McElhaney, the creator of the series, he's all like smug and he's like, I think I was in a brown
Brown out.
and then when I'm watching it live, I'm like, what? Because we would say, oh man, you brown out last night, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like me and my friends, we started using it too. We was like brown out.
Yeah, well, but we were saying
we like that. We're gonna start saying that brown out. Like you kind of remember, but you don't. Like like we started. Yeah. We took that and we started using it too.
Yeah, but we were saying that even before that episode. But it's just funny because while he was saying that, and then like Dennis looks into the camera and he looks at him and he's like, well, now it's out there and I'm going to use it. I'm going to be using it a lot.
And it's just been a great show. And it's like the epitome of an underrated show because it's never been nominated for like an Emmy. Although it's lasted longer than other shows. And it hasn't gotten like the critical acclaim that it's deserved. And it's also one of the shows where it's like the worst episode is probably still like pretty good. And that's why I love it to this day. And it's something I share with Mike and fellow Sonny fans. And that's why we celebrate today. That's been on for 15 years and it really has not missed a beat. Like I actually stopped watching for a while because I didn't have FXX. Got it back. I used my boy here's Hulu account and caught up, and like lo and behold, like it really never fell off. And they tried different stuff, and it's it's a sitcom, but it's in some ways like a satire of like sitcoms because a lot of the things that they go through throughout the show are things that usually the same tropes that a lot of sitcoms do, but they do it in jest. It's not part of like the storyline, or it's not meant to be taken as a serious part of the storyline. What's your top 3 favorite episodes?
My favorite episode, number 1, the gang hits the road. And that's when they want to go to the Grand Canyon. The gang hits the road. They never actually leave the area near the bar, and that is so that just shows like great writing. Like you could have had that episode in like one room, which they eventually start doing, where they have one whole episode just in one literal room, and then it's all about dialogue and the back and forth and knowing the character and what they would say, because it's one person would write an episode, but they know exactly what these characters would say. What's your number 1?
Mine is the Dennis system. I got so many like quotables from that, like pull out my Magnum condoms and my big wad of cash, and like Dennis is trying to like the whole series. Dennis is trying to like get everybody like cultured or whatever, and he thinks like he's the expert on like just lifestyle and intelligence and stuff like that. So it was like the first one where you got to see him like like teaching a class or whatever, and he's like, here, there you go, Charlie, you get it. I'm surprised that it would be you that would get the most out of this class, but it's you. And then
Doug, I'm glad you said that, because my favorite line is when he goes, yeah, Charlie, you're right. I'm really proud of you, buddy. That's what he goes, I'm really proud of you, buddy. You're really getting a hang of this. I like that.
Yeah. And then it was influential because I was in school at the time, and what the RAs used to do, they would like put stuff up on your door with your name on it, just so people would know like that was your room. So in my particular dorm, they put up some like dry erase boards. So literally, like all the dudes that watch Sunny, we would take our names and like write acronyms like in the same way like Dennis did with our names. So it had one with Suge on it, and I'm gonna give Mike the picture of it so he could like flash it up while like this is
Okay.
playing. But we all did it like, and I had like one dude, his name was like Ben. He was like a racist asshole. He was like my friend Dan's roommate. So we took like Ben, and it was like bitch endlessly and bitch endlessly never get the pussy. That was his. So what's the second favorite?
Another one of my favorite episodes, of my favorites, is the World Series defense. Dennis is trying to like argue like a petty parking ticket, and like they bring everyone into the court, and then it's like a flashback episode. Like it's like obviously it's them retelling it. It's the same. They do the same structures of many other sitcoms and then it's the same exact structure to the Gang Cracks the Liberty Bell, where it's them retelling a story, but it's an unreliable narrator. They don't know if it's true or not. My favorite part of it is at the end, at the climax, it just gets very absurd, and then it just cuts to like real time, like back in the present, and she's like, "Are you?" The judge is like, "Are you telling me that you would ever found a catacomb or whatever underneath like the hotel
The Holiday Inn.
at the Holiday Inn? No, we were losing you there, right? Like that whole thing, we were losing you." And they do that. That's a jump cut. That's one of my favorite type of humors because it's like meta. You start doing push-ups, and then it cuts to them again in real time, and they're doing the push-ups again, looking at each other, like trying to one-up each other. That's just that style of that writing. It shows that they were having fun, like in the writers' room, and it wasn't just like they hired people to come aboard and just like, oh, we'll write this episode, and eventually they developed their own crew, like a farm of writers, and they got successful on their own too.
My second favorite episode is the Nightman Cometh. Might have actually been my favorite episode, to be honest with you, because this is one I like to rewatch a lot. It's another one that has like a lot of quotables, like every time, like, I love all the notes, but every time, a matter of fact, when we worked together and like Hall and Oates used to come on like the song on our like music system, I always used to be like, oh yeah, it's Holland Oates and the other guy. And it's like, you mean Oates? But yeah, it actually it's an influential episode because they actually took the show to play that Charlie did on the road, and it was an interesting story because throughout, like in the first parts of the episode, when Charlie comes to them with this play, they're like, all right, what's the angle here? Like, what's your plan? And he's like, no, there's no plan. Like, I'm just doing a play. Like, could you guys not support me? Da 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 da. And then, like, at the end of the episode, like, he proposes to the waitress, and like Mac and Dennis and Dee are like, all right, see, you did have an angle, like, you bastard, like, you lied to us, da 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 da. And you know, the Frank saying, I thought your rape scene, I thought the rape scene went very well.
And I can take you.
I'm here.
Like they get into it though. That's what's funny about it. They get into it. Like, no, I want to do it. But yeah, so the episode.
You got a boner, dude?
Yeah. That was actually the episode they showed afterwards, because that episode was like the season finale of that season. So that was the second episode I ever saw. But recently, of course, you follow me at He's Gonna Puke. So pro wrestling centric Instagram account. But I used it recently for a meme because I was showing tribute to Always Sunny, and of course it's like old timey 30s circus terms they use. That's like what I was saying too. With like this show is very Three Stooges and just like that type of thing. But right away, like he's like, "Hey guys, I wrote a play. I want you guys to be in it and everything." And then Dennis and Mac are like, "Yeah, what's your angle?" And then Dennis is like, "Who's the mark?" That and he's like, "No one."
The songs were great. Like I always sing the songs, real random too.
I'm a man now. He takes off the fan.
Gotta pay the troll to get into this boy's hole.
Yeah, gotta pay the troll get his boy's hole.
Pretty
He
boy,
was like,
little boy, want to touch you.
back in the '70s, we're all naked. You know, everything was naked. We're all naked.
Like Frank, you think you could get you think you could get me cat eyes? She's like, I'm on it.
Yeah, like his character,
Like
you
I'm
already know
on
that
it.
I'm on. He's like,
Yo, and like
um,
a favorite episode of mine, but it's not part of my like list. The because it's probably not like an official episode, but the Christmas special is like also one of my like favorite ones because it actually see it was separate because it was the only one that had like I mean it showed on FX like later on, but it showed them
yeah,
cursing and it was a little bit more like in like how South Park, right? Like the first couple seasons, like it really used to push the envelope, and then the movie came out, and the movie like really pushed the envelope. That's
yeah,
what that Christmas special did.
yeah. I have the same thoughts about that because I never saw it. I'm not sure if it like aired or it just went straight to DVD because the DVD came out like 2 years later. So if you
Yeah,
watch it, and
yeah,
if you watch it on streaming, it's it goes from one episode and then the season finale happens, and then they show Christmas special, and it's completely different vibe. Also because it's of course they were meant to make it straight to DVD or special. We went away. So me and my buddies, we all like whatever our gang
hmm
went away to someone's like Pocono's house, which is very close to Philly, which is funny.
yeah,
Um, and they were just playing random episodes, and this popped on, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I've never seen this
yeah.
before."
I've seen, yeah.
And this is like pre, like you probably see it on Twitter and all that shit, but we didn't really have that. We did, but we didn't. We did, but we didn't. We did, but we didn't. That's a Charlie quote too. So that's a joke I do. I always do.
Yeah,
Like
man, that show got it has so many like quotes I just use in like everyday life. It's like even when we were working, it's like, all right, like I'm gonna risk my life based on something you saw in the movie Tango and Cash.
yeah, um, and it's a good icebreaker too.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then the thing is like my mom's favorite song ever is Steve Winwood's Higher Love. So Dennis always brings up Steve Winwood. It's
yeah,
like
I
I'm not,
ball shit.
I'm not gonna buy that album. I already have that album. I have all of Steve Winwood's shit. I love Steve Winwood.
That's for you, Bumblebee. So basically,
Baby, I love
so if you reference it, um, you like you just started hanging out with you bullshitting with someone. That's like an icebreaker. It's kind of like also with another thing with me is like wrestling. Like if that comes up, it's a good icebreaker, and then you have this whole like kind of
Mhm.
like iceberg thing, like it's like a reference, and then then you have your own references after. But it starts off when the gang are in full like beachwear, like pool wear, and they
Mhm.
pull up and like, where's this barbecue? Like, where are we going? Are we in a cemetery? And they pull up and it's like your uncle is dead, you know.
Yeah.
And
Gail the
then like,
Snail episode. I forgot. Yeah.
so I pretty much I bring this up a lot. I'm gonna get weird with it. I always say that, like if someone says something to me, I'm like, hey, what can I tell you? Like I'm gonna get weird with it. Mac is walking down the street and like they're walking like a weird suburban like like side street, and he's talking. Then I know it cuts to Frank, and he's like, whoa, what the hell are you doing here? What are you talking about? I've been standing next to you for 5 miles. What's going on? Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm trying to think about how I can bang my my ex's sister.
Sister,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know you've been talking about that for fucking 5 miles. Um, and another honorable mention.
Okay.
Honorable mention. You have an honorable mention?
Yeah, I did. I was gonna ask if I could give a third and an honorable mention if you'd
Oh,
indulge me. Then my like honorable mention was Matt gets his pride just to kind of get on the serious side because like the one recurring theme throughout the whole series when it comes to Mac is that people assume like he was gay or bisexual at the very least because early on in the series he was dating a transgender woman. So, the gang used to always give him shit about that, and he's like, no, it's cool. Like, she tapes, her junk back and da da da. And then, throughout the later seasons, it kind of explored his sexuality a lot, I think. And then he finally came out to like everybody, but the only person he didn't come out to was his dad. And his dad is somebody. He's a felon, so most of his life he's been in jail. And like his mom is very like um oblivious to him, and she's not nurturing or motherly, so he always wants he like, it's funny because it's like you could tell from watching the show that like his mom doesn't care about him, and his dad doesn't really care about him, but he really cares about them, and he cares what they think. So it was finally the episode where he decided to come out to his dad, and like the first, like, let's say the show was like a half an hour, the first 25 minutes, it plays, it's a regular old Sunny episode, all the comedy and like the satire and stuff like that. And he does like a performative dance, um, or he does like a dance, what do you call that? Like a
dance.
Yeah, and it's a scene where he does like an interpretive dance to come out to his dad, and like, everybody like at the jail, because his dad's in jail, and I think all the prisoners like clapped, and Frank says, "I get it," because like the whole episode, Frank didn't understand what Mac was trying to do, and he just said, "I get it," and he has tears in his eye, but like his father like walks off, and I thought like, wow, this show has been like not has been underappreciated for its whole time on TV. This is the episode I think would have like the highest rating, and it just like, I think the rating was like on IMDb was like 5 out of like 10, and I was just like, wow, because this is like the first like episode that made me like feel something about the show, like other than like laughter, because I was like, wow, I think I actually like, in watching that scene, I actually kind of like cried, because it hit me that much, that like everybody in his life, all the people that he thought wouldn't be accepting of him, were accepting of him. So it was just like, I thought it was great. That's why I have that as like one of my favorite episodes, because it was the first episode that made me feel something more than laughter with the show.
That's a great point. I'll actually bring up an episode, underage drinking, a national concern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring this back to that episode, because the series starts off, they're all like 29, 30 years old, and basically they're looking back at themselves 15 years earlier in their childhood, and it's basically all of them, the whole gang. The bar is pretty much like therapy for them, and like they make mistakes and stuff, but they're talking to each other and they're trying to like figure out what happened or what went wrong. Like, why am I here in this bar? Like, what went wrong? And they talk about things that happen, like the Christmas episodes about like bad Christmases and stuff. And even Dennis had a very successful father. He didn't have love either, and they make jokes about that. But it's all about like what happened in their past, like what happened when they were kids to high school, and then the underage drinking episodes about them going to prom, and all their proms were shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they try to recreate their prom when they're like 30 years old,
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing. Then at the end, the show has like progressed and like matured, where it's not just like the writers and the characters thinking back when they were like in their youth and where they are now. Now it's like them looking at like society as a whole. So like they're like kind of evaluating. They have that mature viewpoint of, they can just not talk about just their own singular experiences, and then they bring it out to more diverse experience.